Shalom. First off, I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and our elders at Great Millstone GMS who rule well and teach well, whose labors we have entered into. Peace and salutations and blessings unto the 144,000 and the rest of the elect, and to all their brothers and sisters, the Akim and Akwaf that may be tuning in. May this lesson be edifying. May it lift your spirit up as we enter into these trying times. This is the brother Halal from the Great Millstone Chicago camp coming at you with another lesson in truth. And this lesson is going to be concerning the NWO, which is an acronym for New World Order, which is nearly upon us, pursuant to biblical prophecy. And as our elders and apostles have broken it down over the years, the NWO, is eventually when a digital global system, is to be implemented, which will be centered around the Revelation 13 to 16, the Charagma, or the MOTB, the RFID seal, for those who don't know. And this system is nearly upon us, man. And, what may speed it up is this war that we're seeing, over there in the so-called Middle East, which really is called West Asia, between America and Israel and Iran. And as these countries are fighting amongst each other, passages where oil is being brought in and out, the Strait of Hormuz is being threatened, and the disruption of the trade of the global, oil supply, from this war and oil facilities being blown up, it all will tie into the acceleration of this new digital system, which Esau will market as a convenient option, for the safety of society, so to speak. When in reality, it's going to lead to a lot of people being destroyed. So I'm going to let this video play, interject with a few scriptures, and may this lesson be edifying.
Year is 2030. This is the new world order. No one can afford to buy a house because the banks own them all. The retirement age is now 85. You need your digital ID to go anywhere, and your every move is tracked. There is no cash. There is a central bank digital currency, and you own no personal assets. There are regular lockdowns to test population control. More people are in jail for social media posts than robbery. You are taxed directly out of your bank account. You are on a social credit system. AI has taken your job. The NHS waiting list is 3 years, and you can't drive petrol cars on the roads are covered in potholes.
And the men of the Lord, spoke on these things happening first, but what you just heard that man speak on is eventually going to be the future of, Babylon the Great, the Western world. And not only America, but many other countries, are either on board with or are approving of a digital system, which heavily relies on full surveillance and control over the American citizens, man. And Esau Edom, beginning with the elites, the international bankers, the secret societies, this is the system that they've been wanting to implement for such a long time. Because Esau Edom has an obsession with heaping all the people, onto himself and declaring himself as, the sovereign ruler. So to start this off, let's get the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and let's just start at 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say and say unto me. Salaki, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and will I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And this vision, that has been written within these scriptures by the prophets of old, has now found itself in the hands of the current prophets today, which is us, the laboring men of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai that are constantly edifying the sheep, and telling you all what's to come, whether you hear or whether you forbear. It says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables so he may run that readeth it. Right, blessed is he that readeth, as the scriptures say. Verse 3, it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, Salaki, it says, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto himself all nations, and heapeth unto himself all people. And this can only be referring to one, group of men. And those are the Edomites, man. Which is the self-proclaimed white man, beginning with the elites, the bankers, the royal families, the secret societies, on down. Who the men of the Lord have been warning you about for so many years, and that they would set up a monetary system to digitally enslave, all of humanity. And throughout history, Esau, Edom has always tried to gather unto himself all the nations and heap unto himself all people. And what does that mean? That means that Esau has always, had it in his mind to gain, full control over, all groups of people, with him being the leader and everybody else being the slaves, man, and having full control over, different parts of the world, over all peoples, and mainly trying to subdue us, Israelites, man, which in the Hebrew is Yasha'Allah. It has been Esau's mission for all these years throughout every empire that Esau Edom has ruled in, whether it be the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, to this current Babylon the Great today. It has always been his mission to try to, gain full control over all people. The elites want to achieve world domination, man. And as I'm about to show you, Esau Edom has tried to do this throughout history, even going back to the Greek Empire. Which brings me to First Maccabees 1 and 7. I read from 7 to verse 10 to give emphasis on, what was going on in this time frame. And this goes over, when Esau Edom first came into power, beginning with Alexander the Great. Maccabees First Maccabees 1 and 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. And his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So when Esau Edom gained control over a portion of land, evil was running rampant. We see that in every society, up to this point. The Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, and, the Babylon the Great. Every time Esau Edom has ruled a society, rape, robbery, murder, and pedophilia, was running rampant. And the same can apply to this society. The same stuff that was going on back then, the cannibalism, the trafficking. Esau Edom was doing that going back to previous empires that he ruled in, man. Verse 10, and it says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, the son of Antiochus the king, who had been hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So this is talking about, the Edomites that came into power. And when they achieved the status, when they sat in the throne and they had power over the land and the people in it, what did they always try to accomplish? Let's skip down to verse 41. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land. So Antiochus Epiphanes, a wicked, corrupt, foul Edomite that ruled in a Seleucid empire, tried to establish, what many would call today a one world government. The Seleucid Empire had conquered many territories in Asia, and this king specifically, he tried to conquer, many parts of the world, man. And it said what? That he declared that all should be one people, which is what? Hellenization. The same way that we've been Americanized today, which is when Esau, Edom, was subject the nation under captivity under, the Greeks, and forced them to convert to the laws and the statutes of their land, man, and call themselves by their nationality. And that's what the elites want to establish today. They want to keep all the nations onto themselves by creating a monetary, digital currency system centered around the MOTB, in which all people are going to be subject to him, and Esau sits in that seat, Salakia for stuttering. But this is what Esau Edom is trying to establish, man, a one world government, an NWO, which isn't a conspiracy theory, man. As a matter of fact, it's on the back of the dollar. Novus Ordo Seclorum. The three Latin letters that means new order of the ages, man. So from there, let's get another video I want to play.
41 countries are now rolling out digital ID. The entirety of the EU, that's 27 countries, plus another 14 countries worldwide, have either active laws, official rollouts, or formal digital ID programs being developed right now. Coincidence? I don't think so. We're facing an orchestrated worldwide agenda, and a worldwide agenda needs a worldwide solution. That's why, as well as getting land, going off grid, growing our own food, and building like-minded communities, we also need to connect all these projects together in a worldwide decentralized network. This is the real solution. And if you want to learn our full strategy for preparing for digital IDs, as well as
so then he tries to, basically give his own strategy on how to avoid, this new system that Esau's trying to set up. But here you have it, man. 41 countries are rolling out a digital ID. The entirety of the EU, plus another 14 countries worldwide, have either active laws, official rollouts, or formal digital ID programs being developed right now. Then it says what? We're facing an orchestrated worldwide agenda, as he said in the video. And that's what Esau Edom is trying to do. And eventually, according to prophecy, it says what? He will cause all, both small and great, which we'll get that description. But before we get that, let's get 1 Timothy 6:20. Because this MOTB goes into Esau Edom's false science, man, which he's going to try to push forth as something that's convenient and, necessary for us to continue to live. This is 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called, which some professing have erred concerning the faith. Amen. So this new system, this digital system, controlled by the MOTB, is false oppositions of science, man. It's false science, man. It's completely vain. And what is the science of the MOTB? What? The wireless identification. That can transfer all your personal info into one centralized database. Which is how they have control over you, your bank account, everything that you use to ultimately enslave you, man. So I ended off with that Revelation 13. Now I go straight to the point. It says, and he causeth all. Who is that he? The elites, man. The elites of the current beast. The scriptures prove Revelation 17 and 15. These different beasts, represent kingdoms that were ruling the earth. The book of Daniel also. But verse 16, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So this is the future. This is going to be the future of society. This is the new world order. So I hope this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, GMS, Rule Well and Teach Well, Shalom, Kwam Yasha Allah. And until the next lesson.